I still remember the night I didn't go home. The night a homeless man I'd been feeding for 3 months grabbed my wrist outside the Richmond Public Library and told me not to sleep in my own bed. His fingers were cold, but his grip was iron. "Don't go home tonight," he whispered. "Stay at a hotel. Tomorrow I'll show you." I thought he was crazy. I almost pulled away, but something in his eyes stopped me. Something that looked like grief, like he'd already seen what would happen if I didn't listen. If you've ever ignored a warning that saved your life, you know that chill that runs down your spine when you realize how close you came. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from if you love stories like this. Real stories, hard stories, the kind that change you. My name is Raymond Cole. I'm 73 years old now, but when this happened, I was 68, living in Richmond, Virginia, trying to rebuild a life that had already buried me once. My wife Sarah had died 2 years before. Cancer took her slow, piece by piece, until there wasn't enough left to fight. And when she was gone, I realized I didn't know how to be alone. Didn't know how to live in a house that still smelled like her perfume. So I got a job, part-time, at the community center. It wasn't much, but it got me out of that empty house. And every day, on my way home, I'd see him, the old man sitting outside the library. I started leaving him a little money, $1 here, 5 there. Never thought it would save my life. I first saw him on a Tuesday in September. I remember because it was Sarah's birthday, and I'd spent the morning crying in the kitchen, staring at the cake I'd baked out of habit, before I remembered there was no one left to eat it with me. I wrapped it up and took it to the community center. Let the kids devour it during arts and crafts. Then I walked home the long way, past the library, because I wasn't ready to sit in that silence yet. That's when I saw him, sitting on the stone steps, back against the pillar, knees pulled up like he was trying to take up less space in the world. He had a cardboard sign that said, "Homeless vet. Anything helps. God bless." His jacket was too thin for the weather. His hands were shaking. And when I walked past, he didn't even look up, didn't beg, didn't reach out, just sat there like he'd already given up on people stopping. I kept walking. Got halfway down the block before I stopped. I don't know why. Maybe it was Sarah's voice in my head. She always said, "Ray, you got a gift for seeing people nobody else sees." So I turned around, walked back, pulled a $5 bill from my wallet and bent down. "Here," I said, "get yourself something warm." He looked up at me then. His eyes were gray, cloudy, like he'd seen too much, and it had worn the color out. "Thank you," he said. His voice was quiet, rough, like he hadn't used it in a while. I nodded and walked away, but the whole way home, I kept thinking about those eyes, about how they looked like mine did in the mirror some mornings. Tired, lost, still breathing, but barely. The next day, I brought him a sandwich. The day after that, a bottle of water and some crackers. It became a routine. Every day after work, I'd stop by the library, and he'd be there. We didn't talk much at first. I'd hand him whatever I'd brought. He'd say thank you, and I'd leave. But after a few weeks, he started saying my name. "Mr. Raymond," he'd say, even though I'd told him just Ray was fine. "You're too kind to an old fool like me." "You're not a fool," I told him one day. "You're just down on your luck. We all get there sometimes." He smiled at that. It was a sad smile. The kind that says, "You don't know the half of it." But he didn't argue, and I didn't push, because some pain is too deep to talk about with strangers, even kind ones. By the third month, I started to feel like maybe we weren't strangers anymore. He told me his name was Leon, said he'd been in Vietnam, came back different, lost his family, lost his home, lost himself somewhere along the way. I told him about Sarah, about the house that felt too big now, about how some days I woke up and forgot she was gone, and the remembering hurt worse than the grief. Leon nodded like he understood, like he'd lost people too, like maybe we were both just two old souls trying to survive the weight of all that absence. Then came the night he grabbed my arm. I'd just handed him a $10 bill and a cup of coffee. I was turning to leave when his hand shot out and wrapped around my wrist. Not hard, but firm, desperate. "Don't go home tonight," he said. His voice was shaking. "Please, Mr. Raymond, don't go home. Stay at a hotel. Anywhere but your house." I froze, stared at him. "Leon, what are you talking about?" He let go of my wrist, but his eyes locked onto mine. "Tomorrow," he said. "Tomorrow I'll show you. But tonight, trust me, just this once, don't go home." Every instinct told me to pull away, to say thank you but no thank you, and walk to my car. But something in his face stopped me. Fear. Real, bone-deep fear. Not for himself. For me. And in that moment, I made a choice that would change everything. I believed him. I drove to the Hampton Inn, off Broad Street, checked in with my credit card, and a growing sense of absurdity. What was I doing? Listening to a homeless man tell me not to sleep in my own house? Sarah would have thought I'd lost my mind. But Sarah wasn't here. And something about Leon's face wouldn't let me shake it off. So I sat on the edge of that stiff hotel bed, staring at my phone, wondering if I should call someone. The police? A friend? But what would I even say? I didn't sleep that night. Just sat there, remote in hand, flipping through channels without seeing anything. Every car that passed outside made my heart jump. Every creak in the hallway made me hold my breath. By 3 a.m, I was convinced I'd made a mistake, that I'd wasted money and sleep on the paranoia of a man who'd been living on the streets too long. But I didn't leave. Something kept me planted in that room. Maybe stubbornness, maybe faith, maybe just the memory of those gray eyes. When the sun finally came up, I got dressed and drove back to the library. Leon was already there, sitting in the same spot. But this time, he stood up when he saw me. "You stayed away?" he asked. I nodded. "I did. Now tell me why." He looked down at his feet, then back up at me. "Follow me," he said. "I need to show you something." We walked 3 blocks in silence. My heart was pounding, my mind racing. Where was he taking me? Was this a setup? Was I about to get mugged or worse? But Leon didn't look dangerous. He looked scared and sad. And when we turned the corner onto my street, I saw why. My house was gone. Not gone like vanished, gone like burned. The front half had collapsed inward. The windows were blown out. Black soot streaked up the siding. Fire trucks were still parked out front. Yellow tape blocked off the yard. Neighbors stood in clusters, whispering, staring, and I stood there, frozen, unable to process what I was seeing. My home, the home I'd shared with Sarah for 30 years, the home I'd almost slept in last night, destroyed. "Gas leak," Leon said quietly beside me. "Happened around 2 in the morning. I heard the sirens, came by to check. When I saw it was your address." His voice broke. He swallowed hard. "I'm sorry, Mr. Raymond. I should have told you sooner, but I didn't know how. Didn't know if you'd believe me." I turned to look at him. "How did you know?" I whispered. He met my eyes, and for the first time, I saw something in them I hadn't seen before. Guilt. Deep, old, suffocating guilt. "Because," he said slowly, "I used to be a firefighter, and I smelled it. Days ago. Every time I sat outside that library, the wind would blow from your direction, and I'd smell it. Gas. Faint. But there. I should have said something sooner. Should have knocked on your door, but I didn't. And I've been carrying that weight ever since." I stared at him. At this man I'd been feeding for months. This man who'd saved my life. And I did something I hadn't done since Sarah died. I reached out and hugged him. Right there on the sidewalk, in front of the neighbors and the firefighters and God. I held on to him, and I cried. Because he'd saved me. Because he'd cared. Because in a world that had taken so much, he'd given me one more day. "Thank you," I whispered. "Thank you, Leon." He didn't say anything, just stood there, arms awkwardly at his sides, like he'd forgotten what it felt like to be held. And when I finally let go, I saw tears on his face too. "You don't owe me anything," he said. "You already gave me more than you know." But I shook my head. "No," I said. "This isn't over. You saved my life. Now let me help save yours." I moved into a small 1-bedroom apartment on the north side of town. Insurance covered some of it. Savings covered the rest. It wasn't much, but it was mine, and it didn't smell like gas or grief. I brought Leon with me, not to live with me. I wasn't ready for that. But I got him into a shelter program. Helped him apply for veterans benefits he didn't even know he qualified for. Sat with him at the VA office while he filled out forms with shaking hands. "I don't deserve this," he kept saying. "Mr. Raymond, you don't have to do this." But I did. Because he'd seen me. Really seen me. Not as a widower or charity case or someone to pity. He'd seen me as someone worth saving. And I wanted him to feel that too, to know he was worth it. The shelter got him into transitional housing. A small room, a bed, a lock on the door. It wasn't much. But when I helped him move in, I saw something in his face I hadn't seen before. Hope. Fragile, tentative, but there. "I haven't had my own space in 6 years," he said quietly, running his hand over the thin mattress. "I forgot what it felt like." I smiled. "Well, now you remember?" We fell into a new routine. I'd visit him twice a week, bring groceries, help him navigate the VA paperwork, listen to his stories about Vietnam, about his ex-wife Sharon, about his daughter Cassidy, who he hadn't spoken to in over a decade. "She hates me," he said one day, "and she should. I wasn't a good father, wasn't a good husband. The war messed me up. I came back angry, drinking. I pushed them away, and by the time I got sober, they were gone." "Have you tried reaching out?" I asked. He shook his head. "What would I even say? Sorry I ruined your childhood. Sorry I wasn't there. She's better off without me." I set down the bag of groceries I'd brought. "Leon, she deserves to know you're alive, that you're trying, that you're still here." He looked at me with those cloudy gray eyes. "What if she doesn't want to know?" I leaned forward. "Then at least you tried. At least you gave her the choice." It took 3 weeks, but he finally agreed. I helped him find Cassidy online. She lived in North Carolina, married, 2 kids. A whole life Leon had missed. I watched him stare at her profile picture for 20 minutes, tears running down his face. "She looks just like her mother," he whispered. I didn't push, just sat there with him, let him feel it. He sent her a message, simple, short. "Cassidy, this is your father. I know I don't deserve to hear from you, but I wanted you to know I'm alive. I'm sober. And I'm sorry. If you ever want to talk, I'm here." He hit send and then closed the laptop like it burned him. "Now what?" he asked. "Now we wait," I said. But I could see the fear in his face, the terror that she wouldn't respond, that she'd leave him on red, that this fragile hope he'd built would shatter. 3 days later, she replied, "I don't know what to say to you. You left us. You chose alcohol and anger over me and Mom. But I'm glad you're alive. I'm glad you're sober. Maybe one day we can talk." but not yet. I need time. Leon read it 5 times. Then he looked at me. She didn't say no, he said, voice breaking. She didn't say never. I smiled. No, she didn't. She said maybe, and maybe is enough for now. Winter came, cold and sharp. I kept visiting Leon, kept helping him rebuild. He got a part-time job at a warehouse. Nothing fancy, but it was work. It was purpose. And he showed up every day, even when his back hurt, even when the cold made his joints scream. I'm not giving up, he told me. Not now, not after everything. One evening in December, he handed me an envelope. What's this? I asked. Open it, he said. Inside was a handwritten letter. 5 pages, front and back. It was addressed to Cassidy. I've been working on it for weeks, Leon said quietly. I wanted to tell her everything, the truth, not excuses, just the truth. I looked down at the first line. Cassidy, I was 17 when I enlisted. I thought I was going to save the world. I came back and couldn't save myself. I read the whole thing, every word. It was raw, painful, honest. He didn't sugarcoat anything, didn't blame the war, or the drinking, or the trauma. He owned it, all of it. The nights he came home, drunk, the times he yelled, the day he left and never came back. But he also told her about the man he was trying to become, the man who wanted to do better, who wanted to be worth knowing. Leon, I said, clearing my throat, this is beautiful. He shook his head. It's too late, but I had to write it, had to get it out. It's not too late, I said. Send it. He hesitated. What if she doesn't read it? I folded the letter carefully and put it back in the envelope. Then at least you said it. At least you tried. He took the envelope from me, stared at it. Okay, he whispered. Okay. He mailed it the next day, and then we waited. Christmas came and went. I spent it with Leon at the shelter. We ate donated ham and mashed potatoes, sang carols with the other residents. It wasn't the Christmas I'd imagined, but it wasn't lonely, and that was something. 3 days after New Year's, Leon called me. His voice was shaking. She responded, he said. Cassidy, she called me. My heart stopped. What did she say? There was a long pause. Then, she said she read the letter, said it made her cry, said she's not ready to see me yet, but she wants to keep talking. She gave me her number, Mr. Raymond. She gave me her number. I could hear him crying through the phone, and my eyes got wet too, because some miracles don't look like miracles at first. They look like second chances. Like, maybe, like a daughter who doesn't hang up. I'm so proud of you, I told him. I'm so proud of you, Leon. And I meant it. Because this man, this broken, beautiful man who'd saved my life, was finally learning to save his own. Leon and Cassidy started talking once a week. Sunday evenings, He'd sit in his small room with his phone pressed to his ear, and I'd see him afterward, eyes red but smiling. "She told me about her kids," he'd say. "My grandkids." "I have grandkids, Mr. Raymond." He showed me pictures she'd sent. 2 little girls, 7 and 9. They had his eyes, that same gray, but theirs still had light in them. "Does she know about me?" I asked one day. He nodded. "I told her how you saved me, how you didn't give up on me when everyone else did." He paused. "She wants to meet you when she's ready to visit. She said anyone who could see good in me must be pretty special." I laughed, but my chest felt tight. "I'm not special, Leon. I just saw what was already there." The calls got longer, started happening twice a week, then 3 times. They talked about everything: her childhood, his regrets, her marriage, his sobriety, the hard stuff, the stuff that hurt. But they talked, and slowly, carefully, something that looked like forgiveness started growing between them. She asked me if I ever think about her mother, Leon told me one night. "Sharon." I told her the truth, that I think about her every day, that I'm sorry I wasn't the man she needed, that I hope she's happy now. "Is she?" I asked. "Remarried, living in Florida. Cassidy says she's doing well, says she forgave me a long time ago, doesn't hate me, just moved on." He looked down at his hands. "I'm glad. She deserved better than what I gave her." I reached over and squeezed his shoulder. "You're giving better now, to Cassidy, to those grandkids you're going to meet someday. That counts, Leon." In March, Cassidy told him she was coming to Richmond just for a weekend. She wanted to see him face to face. Leon called me immediately, voice high and panicked. "I can't do this," he said. "What if she takes one look at me and changes her mind? What if I mess it up?" I drove over to his place, found him pacing. "Leon, sit down." He sat. "You're not going to mess it up. You're just going to be honest, like you've been on the phone, like you were in that letter. That's all she wants. The real you." "The real me is a mess," he said. I shook my head. "The real you is a man who saved a stranger's life, who got sober, who fought for a second chance. That's who she's coming to see." He looked at me, eyes wet. "What if it's not enough?" I took his hands. "It will be. I promise." The day before Cassidy arrived, Leon couldn't sit still. We went shopping for new clothes, something clean, presentable. He kept second-guessing everything. Is this too much? Too formal? Will she think I'm trying too hard? I laughed. "Leon, you're overthinking this. She's your daughter. She already loves you. She just needs to remember how." He tried on a blue button-down, looked at himself in the mirror. "I don't even recognize this guy," he said quietly. I stood beside him. "That's because you're seeing yourself the way she's going to see you, as someone worth knowing." We met Cassidy at a coffee shop downtown. Neutral ground. I stayed in the car at first, giving them space, but through the window I watched. Saw her walk in. Saw Leon stand up, nervous, unsure. Saw her stop, stare, and then slowly walk toward him. They stood there for a long moment, not touching, just looking. And then she reached out, hugged him. Not long, not tight, but enough. Enough to say, "I'm here. I'm trying," Leon cried. I could see his shoulders shaking, and Cassidy held on a little longer. When they finally sat down, I got out of the car and walked in. Leon waved me over. "Cassidy, this is Mr. Raymond, the man I told you about." Cassidy stood. She was tall, strong, had her father's eyes but her mother's grace. "Thank you," she said, voice thick. "Thank you for seeing him when no one else did." I shook her hand. "He saved my life first," I said. "I'm just returning the favor." We sat together, drank coffee, talked, laughed, cried. It wasn't perfect. There were awkward pauses, hard questions, but it was real. And when Cassidy left that weekend, she hugged her father again, longer this time. "I'll call you next Sunday," she said. Leon nodded, unable to speak. And as we watched her drive away, he turned to me. "I don't know how to thank you," he said. I smiled. "You already did. The night you told me not to go home." Spring turned to summer. Leon's life was changing. He had his daughter back, had his grandkids on FaceTime, had a job, a routine, hope. But in July, he started getting tired, more than usual. He'd come home from the warehouse and collapse. "Just working too hard," he'd say. "I'm not as young as I used to be." But I noticed he'd lost weight, that his clothes hung looser, that sometimes when he thought I wasn't looking, he'd wince and hold his side. "Leon, you need to see a doctor," I told him. "I'm fine," he insisted, "just sore." But he wasn't fine. And when he finally agreed to go to the VA clinic, they ran tests, blood work, scans. 2 weeks later, they called him back in. I went with him, sat in that sterile waiting room, holding my hat while he stared at the floor. When the doctor came out, his face told me everything I needed to know before he even spoke. "Mr. Hayes, we found something." Leon looked up. "What kind of something?" The doctor sat down. "Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. It's advanced, aggressive." The room tilted. I felt my hands grip the armrests of my chair. "How long?" Leon asked, voice flat. The doctor hesitated. "Without treatment, maybe 6 months. With treatment, we could extend that. But I have to be honest. This type of cancer, it's hard to fight." Leon didn't say anything. Just nodded, like he'd been expecting this, like some part of him had always known. We drove back to his apartment in silence. When we got there, he sat on the edge of his bed and stared at the wall. "I just got her back," he said finally. "I just got Cassidy back. I just met my grandkids. And now this." His voice broke. "It's not fair, Mr. Raymond. It's not fair. I sat beside him. No, it's not. I didn't have words to make it better. Didn't have platitudes that would soften the blow. So I just sat there. Let him cry. Let him rage. Let him grieve for the future he'd just started believing in. And when he was done, when the tears ran out and the anger faded to exhaustion, he looked at me. I'm going to fight, he said. I don't know if I'll win, but I'm going to fight. I nodded. Then we fight together. He started chemo the next month. It was brutal. He'd come out of these sessions pale, shaking, barely able to stand. I'd drive him home, help him into bed, sit with him while he slept. Cassidy called every day, sometimes twice. She wanted to come up, to be there, but Leon wouldn't let her. I don't want her to see me like this, he said. Not yet. Not when I looked like death. But he wasn't death. He was still fighting, still showing up, still trying. One night, after a particularly hard session, he looked at me and said, If I don't make it, don't, I interrupted. Don't talk like that. He shook his head. Listen to me. If I don't make it, I need you to tell Cassidy something. Tell her I died happy. Tell her I died knowing I got to be her dad again, even if it was only for a little while. Tell her that mattered, that she mattered. I had to look away. Couldn't let him see my eyes watering. You're going to tell her yourself, I said. You're going to beat this. He smiled, sad, tired. Maybe, but just in case. Promise me. I looked at him. I promise. By September, Leon couldn't work anymore. The chemo had taken too much out of him. He moved into a hospice facility. Not because he'd given up, but because he needed more care than I could give him. Cassidy finally came, brought the girls. They walked into that hospice room, and I saw Leon's face light up in a way I'd never seen before. Grandpa, the youngest one said, shy, hiding behind her mother's leg. Leon's eyes filled with tears. Hi, baby, he whispered. They stayed for a week. Cassidy barely left his side. The girls drew him pictures, read him stories, climbed carefully into his bed to watch cartoons, and Leon soaked it all in. Every moment, every laugh, every hug. This is enough, he told me one night after they'd gone back to the hotel. This is more than I ever thought I'd get. I nodded, not trusting my voice. You deserve it, Leon. All of it. But the cancer didn't care what he deserved. It kept spreading, kept taking. By October, he couldn't get out of bed, could barely eat. The doctor said it was a matter of weeks now, maybe days. Cassidy moved into my apartment. We took turns sitting with him, holding his hand, talking to him, even when he couldn't talk back. One afternoon, when it was just the two of us, Leon opened his eyes, looked at me. You saved my life, Mr. Raymond, he said, voice barely a whisper. I shook my head. You saved mine first. He smiled. Then I guess we're even. I laughed, even though my throat was tight. Yeah, I guess we are. I'm not scared, he said after a long pause. I thought I would be, but I'm not. I got to say sorry, got to be forgiven, got to meet my grandkids, got to know you. That's more than most people get. I squeezed his hand. You're a good man, Leon Hayes. He closed his eyes. I'm trying to be. The next day, Cassidy brought the girls. They sang to him, held his hands, told him they loved him, and Leon, weak as he was, smiled, really smiled. I love you too, he whispered, so much. That night, with Cassidy on one side and me on the other, Leon Hayes took his last breath, quiet, peaceful, surrounded by love. We held the service at a small chapel near the hospice. It wasn't crowded. Leon didn't have many people left in his life, but the ones who came mattered. Cassidy and her family, a few guys from the warehouse, some folks from the VA, and me. I spoke, told them about the man who'd saved my life, about his courage, his redemption, his love. He wasn't perfect, I said, but he was real, and he fought for every second chance he got. That's who Leon was. Cassidy spoke too, voice shaking but strong. My dad left when I was 14, and for years I hated him. But he came back, not physically at first, but in spirit, in effort, in love. And I got to know a man I never thought I'd meet, a man who was brave enough to say sorry, brave enough to change. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for him. We buried him at the Veterans Cemetery, military honors. Flag folded and handed to Cassidy. Taps played while we stood in the cold November wind. And as they lowered him into the ground, I thought about that night outside the library, about the man who'd grabbed my wrist and saved my life, about how sometimes God sends angels in the strangest forms. After the service, Cassidy pulled me aside, handed me an envelope. He wanted you to have this, she said. He wrote it a few weeks ago, before he couldn't write anymore. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a single page. Mr. Raymond, you gave me my life back, not just by believing in me, but by showing me I was still worth saving. I don't have much to leave behind, but I'm leaving you this, the truth. You are the kindest soul I ever met. And if heaven is real, I'll be waiting there to thank you proper. Until then, keep being you. Keep seeing people. The world needs more of that. Love, Leon. I folded the letter carefully, held it against my chest, and I let the tears come. Not sad tears, grateful ones, because I'd known him, because he'd known me, because we'd saved each other. A month after the funeral, Cassidy called me. Can you come over? She asked. There's something you need to see. I drove to her hotel. She was sitting on the bed, surrounded by papers. Leon had a will, she said. I didn't know. He set it up through the VA a few months before he died. She handed me a document. My name was on it. What is this? I asked. She smiled, tears in her eyes. He left you something. I read it, and my breath caught. Leon had taken out a small life insurance policy through the VA. $20,000. And he'd left it all to me. For Raymond Cole, the man who saved my life and gave me a reason to live it. Use it to keep being kind. The world needs you. I stared at the paper. Couldn't speak. Couldn't process what I was seeing. He didn't have to do this, I finally whispered. Cassidy shook her head. Yes, he did. Because that's who he was. You gave him everything. He wanted to give you something back. I had to sit down. Had to catch my breath. Because I didn't do it for money. Didn't do it for recognition. I did it because it was right. Because he mattered. And now, even in death, he was still looking out for me. I can't take this, I said. Cassidy took my hands. You have to. He wanted you to. Please, honor him by accepting it. I looked down at the will, at his shaky signature, at the date, 3 weeks before he died, when he was already so weak he could barely hold a pen. But he'd done it anyway, for me. Okay, I whispered. Okay. I used the money to start a fund. A small scholarship for homeless veterans trying to get back on their feet. I called it the Leon Hayes Second Chance Fund. Because that's what he gave me. A second chance at life, at hope, at believing people could change. It's been 5 years since Leon died. I'm 73 now, still living in that small apartment, still visiting the library every week. And sometimes on quiet afternoons, I sit on those stone steps where I first saw him, where he sat with his cardboard sign and his tired eyes. And I remember the night he saved my life, the months I spent helping him rebuild his, the phone calls with Cassidy, the grandkids climbing into his hospice bed, the funeral, the will, all of it. And I realized something. Leon didn't just save me from a gas leak. He saved me from loneliness, from giving up, from forgetting that kindness still matters in a world that often feels too hard. Cassidy and I still talk. She brings the girls to visit every summer. They call me Grandpa Ray, and I let them. Because family isn't just blood. It's the people who show up, who stay, who see you. And Leon taught me that. He saw me, and I saw him. And that simple act of seeing changed everything. Sometimes people ask me why I helped him, why I kept going back to that library, why I didn't just walk past like everyone else. And I tell them the truth. Because he reminded me of me, lost, grieving, still breathing, but barely. And if someone could see him, could believe in him, maybe I could believe in myself too. I still have that letter he wrote me. Keep it in my nightstand. Read it on hard days. When the loneliness creeps back in. When I miss Sarah. When I wonder if any of this matters. And his words remind me, keep being you. Keep seeing people. So I do. I volunteer at the shelter where Leon stayed. I bring sandwiches to the folks outside the library. I sit with them, talk to them, see them, because Leon was right. The world needs more of that, more kindness, more second chances, more people willing to bend down and look someone in the eye and say, I see you and you matter. That's what he did for me. That's what I do for others now. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. If you've ever been saved by a stranger or saved a stranger yourself, drop a comment below. Tell me your story. Because these stories matter. They remind us we're not alone. That even in the darkest moments, there's still light. Still hope. Still people willing to grab your wrist and say, don't go home at night, trust me. And sometimes that's all it takes. One person, one moment, one choice to change everything.